Big announcements! We have a weekly podcast. It's called Couchcast. Almost none of you probably know that. The link below is in the description. It's on iTunes and Stitcher. We're doing the mid-season awards on the podcast, but this week it will be coming out one day early, so early Wednesday morning. Look out for that new podcast episode. Also, it's back. The weekly fantasy football contest where you get to compete against me and 100 other fans is back. As you know, spots fill up really quick and there's going to be cash prizes. First place will be getting a huge prize. I'm not going to give out too much information. It will be on the next video, which comes out this week, so make sure you're subscribed and watch the video and enter. The spots will fill up likely the same day, so hurry up. I'm giving you guys a heads up about that contest. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. These are my Week 8 waiver wire pickups. If you guys want to see more awesome waiver wire videos like this one, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. There are 6 teams on bye this week: the Cardinals, Packers, Jaguars, Rams, Giants, and Titans. It's okay to drop Carson Palmer as he is out for an extended period of time. Huge blow to that Cardinals team. If you're looking for a quarterback this week, you can go with Tyrod Taylor, amazing floor with a great matchup against the Raiders. You could go with Andy Dalton, another sweet matchup we have right here going against the Colts. Josh McCown, a guy you can't really trust, but he's been playing very well this week. He is a startable quarterback, believe it or not, and he has a good matchup against the Falcons. If you can't get those 3 guys, I assume Case Keenum's going to be starting again this week. He's going against the Browns. The Browns' rush defense actually hasn't been that bad. We haven't seen really any running backs go off on the Browns, which is a little bit of a surprise, but their defense is not that great overall. There's still holes in it, and especially if Stephon Diggs is playing, the Vikings have some weapons. They have McKinnon in the pass game, Kyle Rudolph, Diggs, and of course Adam Thielen. If you're in a dual quarterback league or a deep league, look for Matt Moore as Jay Cutler is likely out for a couple weeks. Jacoby Brissett, CJ Beathard, who played horrible last week, but I think he can do a little bit better. CJ Beathard could do better, but this week is not a good matchup against the Eagles. That's why I don't have him ranked high at all. We also have Mitchell Trubisky going against the Saints. Joe Flacco, Thursday night football game. He has like no weapons to throw to. Trevor Siemian will get a huge boost if Emmanuel Sanders can play. And Drew Stanton, but that's really only in deep dual quarterback leagues. As we see him, he'll probably be the starter for the remainder of the fantasy season. He is on bye this week, however. Running backs are getting a little bit murky. Other than this Lynch suspension, which Marshawn Lynch is suspended 1 game, there's not too many running backs to add. So you could go with DeAndre Washington or Jalen Richard. This is going to be like a running back by committee. I think Jalen Richard, I like Jalen Richard more. I think he's more explosive, more elusive. But DeAndre Washington might be a little bit more of the first down and second down back. It could be a 50-50 split too. So I would think that Jalen Richard is better in PPR, even though they both got 4 targets each last week after Marshawn Lynch's departure. I think Jalen Richard is a better pass catching back, but they're about even. I like Wendell Smallwood, great matchup. I see the Eagles running the ball a little bit more than they usually do. They're playing the Niners. They should be playing with the lead. The Eagles defense should do pretty well. The Eagles defense has a pretty good matchup. And of course, they're going to be featured. We're going to talk about them in this video, of course. Latavius Murray, surprisingly, little surprise, had 18 carries last week. That's more carries than Jerick McKinnon. So we're seeing about a 50-50 split here. In standard leagues, he gets a little bit of boost in value, and Jerick McKinnon gets a little bit of boost in PPR leagues. If you're in a PPR league, look for Theo Riddick. He hasn't been that good this year, and that's because Amir Abdullah has been healthy. Marlon Mack needs to be owned in more leagues with Robert Turbin officially on IR. Rob Kelly, he's okay in standard leagues. I think he has a decent amount of value because Samaje Perine got 0 touches last week. So that's good for Fat Rob owners or for owners trying to pickup Fat Rob. D'Onta Foreman is more of a long-term pickup as he has a tough matchup playing in Seattle. It's not a good start this week. We also have Alex Collins and the rookie Austin Eckler. For wide receivers, I think it's pretty clear who the number 2 receiver is on the Falcons. That's Mohamed Sanu with double-digit targets. He way more targets than Taylor Gabriel, than Austin Hooper, and nearly got as many targets as Julio Jones. So I really like Mohamed Sanu. I think he's a reliable wide receiver, not a flashy one, but definitely a good one. And he's worth a pickup in most leagues. Now, a guy I'm really excited about is Josh Doctson. And I'm more excited about him because of the potential, right? We like upside. We like getting that sneaky pick, that sleeper waiver wire acquisition, and later might blow up. That could be Josh Doctson. We know Pryor has been horrendous this year. He's been a total bust. He really only had one good game, and that was just one play, really, against the Chiefs. And Josh Doctson has out-snapped Terrell Pryor last game. Coach Jay Gruden's talked about, hey, Doctson, we drafted him to be the guy, and he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. You know, that's just hype when coaches say that. But the numbers prove what he's been saying. Other than a couple catches Pryor had in garbage time, he didn't do anything. Pryor only had 30 snaps Monday Night Football in Week 7, while Josh Doctson had 54 snaps. That's night and day. That's almost twice as many snaps as Terrell Pryor. I have a good feeling about Kendall Wright going against the Saints. Not somebody I would trust, but I think he has a decent matchup. Look, I know the Saints defense has been playing better, but I think Kendall Wright's going to have some opportunities in the slot. I think he's their best receiver. He'll see some targets. He'll get some catches. Will he get in the end zone? I wouldn't bank on it, but if he gets in the end zone, he'll be a really good wide receiver start, and you'll be like, ooh, look, I started Kendall Wright and I won. If Devontae Parker is hurt, Kenny Stills gets a huge boost. Devontae Parker was practicing today. He's trending more towards playing, but it is a Thursday night game, so we don't know. Maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. My guess is Devontae Parker will play, and that decreases the value of Kenny Stills. We also have Kenny Golladay, who's been hurt, but might come back real soon. He's basically has done nothing since Week 1, and he's also been injured. We also have Robbie Anderson, good matchup against the Falcons. Brandon LaFell, who's likely the number 2 receiver for the Bengals. Juju Smith-Schuster is a guy that really needs to be on people's radars because he's been doing okay. His performance has been okay. He's the number 2 wide receiver on the Steelers, and if Martavius Bryant gets traded, which is a very likely scenario, Juju Smith-Schuster's value will go skyrocketing. And if you're in deeper leagues, look for Fowler, Lockett, Jordan Matthews, and Zay Jones. Who knows what these Bills wide receivers, like Zay Jones, 9 targets. That's a lot of targets, but he's also been terrible too. He hasn't done anything with the targets he's gotten. Marquise Goodwin, Jeremy Curley, D.D. Westbrook has been on IR, but he can come back pretty soon, guys. So he might be back as early as, I think, Week 9, is it? So in deep leagues, might want to keep tabs on D.D. Westbrook. I think he has a lot of potential. He could be like a Deshaun Jackson type of player. Brandon Coleman has virtually no value if Willie Snead is playing, but if Willie Snead is out, Brandon Coleman gets a boost. The Ravens are pretty banged up, and Chris Moore could be a starting wide receiver on that team. And we have Bruce Ellington, the number 3 wide receiver on the Texans. For tight ends, if you can afford it, if you got a deep bench or you got an IR spot, Charles Clay is worth a stash. We know this guy's a tight end 1, and he'll be back likely in a couple weeks. He is worth the bench spot if you can afford it. Tyler Kroft is actually shaping up to be a decent tight end, more of a high-end tight end 2 or a spot start. We also have AJ Derby, who gets a boost if Sanders is out, and Austin Hooper. And Austin Hooper, I really like him this week, but he's a guy you definitely cannot trust. He's a true definition of boom or bust. We're talking 0, 1, or 2 fantasy points, or he goes off. It's going to be nothing in between. And that's why I probably wouldn't waste a waiver priority on a guy like Hooper. I'd probably wait and see if I can get him off free agency. And in deeper leagues, we have Watson, Miller, Griffin, Doyle, Njoku, OJ Howard, George Kittle, Julius Thomas, Ed Dixon, Vernon Davis, Darren Fells, and Nick O'Leary because Charles Clay is out. I think we might be able to give OJ Howard a little boost. Like, that's a good upside with a guy like Howard. I think he has a lot of upside, a lot of potential. We really liked him in the NFL draft. For defenses, I love the Ravens D and Eagles D. Bengals D is pretty good. Steelers D is trustworthy. They don't have a great matchup though, but they've been playing really well this year. The Saints defense going against the Bears. These are all really good defenses. We are lucky to have good defenses on a week like this where there's a lot of bye weeks. The Dolphins, they're a terrible defense, but this is a low-scoring game. It's a Thursday night game. There is some potential here. We know how good the Ravens offense is. Not good at all. We know Flacco has been horrible this year. It's just been boring and hasn't really done anything. Expect a low-scoring game. And if you can't get those guys, I guess you can go with the Lions and maybe the Bills. And in super deep leagues, you might want to go for the Raiders or Browns defense. And that's if you're really desperate. Lots of good kickers this week. And I have been known, I've been called the kicker whisperer upon occasion, guys. And just a note, Dan Bailey is injured. He's expected to miss multiple weeks. So if you have an IR spot, you can put him on there. Otherwise, you probably want to drop him, especially with these bye weeks hitting super hard. And, you know, it's kickers. You pick them up, you drop them, you use them, drop them, whatever. We just run through them. It's just the kicker, guys. You don't have to hold on to every kicker. Kai Forbath, he did very well. I think he was the best kicker last week. Now he has a sweet matchup against the Browns. Can't get him, go for Will Lutz, who's probably owned in a lot of leagues. Same thing with Jake Elliott. Those two are probably not available. But Kai Forbath is actually probably available in your league. We also have Blair Walsh, decent matchup. I really like those top three though. Forbath, Lutz, and Elliott. Like those three I really like this week. They will be top kickers. Hopefully. The rest are okay on this list, but those three are the ones I'm the most confident in. So we have Blair Walsh, Stephen Hauschka, Randy Bullock, Chris Boswell, Matt Prater, who's more of a long-term pickup. I really like this kicker. Not a great matchup this week, but a guy I would still start. Like I wouldn't be too scared to start him. He's in a dome, he's at home, that bodes well for Matt Prater. And we also have Nick Rose, kind of a sleeper pickup on Washington. If you guys want these waivers sent straight to your inbox to get them before anybody else does, before this video comes out, just subscribe to my VIP waiver wire list. I send out the waivers every week. It's not as good as the video. I don't go into detail. They're not ranked. But you get them nice and early, and I know some of you guys don't have a lot of time and you want them nice and early. Some of you guys on the East Coast, this video comes out a little bit late, so that's why I decided to do the VIP waiver wire list. Lots of links in the description below this week, so check them out. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the couch icon next to me, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, leave a comment below, and if you're asking a question and you're a true fan, make sure you use hashtag #AskTheBrain. I'll see you guys on the next video. Next video is gonna be good. I'm telling you right now, don't want to miss the next video.